Welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. And do not address your TV sets. I do have as a special guest Michael Dunn from Carolina Cat Chronicles. How you doing, Michael? This is my special co-host. I thought it's kind of cool to get an outsider's perspective on what's going on, within the NFC South, especially the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How you doing tonight? Oh man, I just called you by your son's name. I don't know why I was thinking like that. You got it, man. Tony, forgive me, man. I know I'll never hear the end of this ever, ever, ever again. This is going to come up here later on, I'm sure. So, just with the landscape, and I know you've been kind of sort of following this. What are your thoughts? You're looking at a rival team, and you see they go out and they re-sign Shaq Barrett, they bring back Ndamukong Suh. You have Vita Vea, and then all of a sudden you hear Jameis Winston didn't get signed, and they bring in a Tom Brady. And then on top of that, just recently, here you have another trade where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trade with the New England Patriots, and they bring in Robert James Gronkowski into this team. So when you're thinking about that, and then you think about the players that they currently have, what are your thoughts? Just with what's going on or what's going on. What are your thoughts when you're just looking at this team, how it's being built?
These moments that you do see and identify in this window. And it looks like Tampa believes that it's there. Obviously, they made the aggressive move of going and getting Tom Brady, but you can see that they're trying to go from one of those teams that has been irrelevant almost to what not the Chargers, the Rams did. It's like
Yeah.
the Rams just languished for a while, and then all of a sudden they became a dominant team. That is what I think Tampa Bay, and I think it's I think you should try these things at times, because if you believe you have the pieces to build and you can add a couple of parts and get you over the hump, and it certainly seems like the Bucs believe that. I'm a little surprised by the Rob Gronkowski trade and signing. That shows you probably how much influence Tom Brady has,
Yeah.
in the NFL world, right? Like he can get his homeboy to come out of retirement, get this trade. I was surprised by that, but man, it's interesting. And I think if you're a Bucks fan, you should be excited on the negative part. And I don't want to be a negative Nancy on
We
this.
gotta look at everything here. We gotta turn over every stone.
The Bucks always seem to be an exciting team in April.
True story.
Every year. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm tired of it from an outsider. Believe it. Now I said this is that I was not going to buy into the Bucks until I saw it. Like, I won't believe it till I see it. I've been
Right.
fooled too many times, and then they go and get Tom Brady, and I'm already like, all right, here we go again. So that's that to me is the only scary part about what's going on with the Bucks, because then you have those questions of people saying that Tom Brady isn't who Tom Brady we say he is.
Yeah, but you have a quarterback that can take care of the ball,
Yeah,
which is important. I
he's
was
the GOAT.
watching.
He's the best
Basically.
quarterback in the history of football, arguably. I mean, as you might be able to say, other guys are technically better, like more arm strength, whatever it is. But he's like a Joe Montana. He's just win, win,
Yeah.
win.
And I think what really won me over is the way they beat Atlanta, and I'll never forget that, and I can't be thankful enough, for, that 25-point lead that was blown in the Super Bowl. I mean, that was like my Super Bowl trophy, to be honest. Just the fact that how Atlanta lost that game, and then here we have the guy that was, kind of orchestrated that in the second half. So I'm glad that, and just from that perspective, I'm glad to have him here.
I think the real story for me, though, that is going unsung when it comes to the Bucs is just the defense under the leadership of Todd Bowles. I've been a Todd Bowles fan. Like, that guy can coach a damn defense. His defense is in New York, while the team was always a wreck, right? And that was always behind the scenes, it seemed like, with their general managers and things like that.
Yeah.
The defense, no matter who they cycled in and out, was always formidable. And then so he doesn't work out as a head coach in New York, and he comes to Tampa. And boy, you really got some credibility there, and it's already paid off as the defense is improved. What is this? Will this be his second year as coordinator or third?
This will be his
When
second
did Derek?
year.
Okay, second year.
This is a second year, because what I noticed about, and I'm glad you brought him up, with Todd Bowles, at the beginning of the season, you're like, man, what is this team going to do? But it just seems like on the back end of the season, your defensive players bought into it. JPP came back healthy. Shaq Barrett continued to be dominant the way he's been. And, they, continue to tighten down in the secondary as well. So, it just, to me, it looks like everything started working. You had better communication. People were playing where they were supposed to be, and you had a lot more accountability. So, just what happened there is my hope is that this carries into this season, into 2020, if we do have a 2020 season.
So as the team appears to be going for broke kind of thing, they're pushing their chips all in, it seems like, this season, the Tampa Bay Bucs. What do you do in the draft, Gene, to continue with that aggressive win now moment? And right now, the Bucs, obviously, we've talked about this in other podcasts where I've been a member of the chat room and stuff, and when you've come on with us, is that the need for offensive line is real and apparent, right? Yeah. I mean, like, you need that. So that addition, but do you see the Bucs maybe invest in high in a running back to really kickstart that run game? Because that's the missing piece, it feels like, or at least from the outside, people are saying, go get Fournette. Is the draft a way to do that? Because it really doesn't seem like we've gotten a lot of hype around running backs, but people continue to tell me there's a lot of good running backs out there.
Yeah, the running back class is pretty deep this year. I've finally gotten buckled down and started looking at some of these different players, and I honestly believe that it would have to be an offensive lineman. That's kind of my concern when I look at Tom Brady. You got to keep him upright. He shouldn't be scrambling for his life. I have never seen Tom Brady under so much duress as last year. It was like there was a lineman in his face at every turn. And, I think that really affected, how he played. So I don't know. I think they will get a running back. It may be in the later rounds because the running back class is pretty deep. So I don't expect to see and I couldn't really tell you of a running back that I'm trying to think that you would really go get in the first round of this draft. But they're just
maybe the second. The second would be an aggressive way, I think, to address that, is that you go and get as best talent you can in the first on the offensive side. And then you can look, the running backs have just not been talked about a lot. And I'm not a draft guru, dude. I'm not breaking down film. I'm not doing all this. I got tired of spending so much time speculating on things where none of it comes correct, right?
You sound like me. You know what?
1% of all of the talk about the NFL draft probably will become true. Because look, we've looked at teams, man. When you looked at certain Panther drafts where they do the redraft at the end of the season, and you're like, this is the best draft in the history of our franchise. And then 2 years later, all those dudes suck. Right. So, I mean, like, and then, so even predicting, so think about the movement that we're expecting to see in round 1.
Yes.
Right. How can you even predict that? So going down the line into the, but I do think you can think about the draft in a holistic, like a philosophical sense. And so I might not know the player when it comes to the running back position, but running backs generally translate to the NFL pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
If they're going to be that guy, yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's not like a defensive end where I feel like it takes 2 years before
or a cornerback.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's certain positions that just feel like it's easier for a college player to get into the NFL and be an impact player. And running back is one of those. So as everybody else is not thinking about running backs, maybe the Bucs get something in the second, or is it an outsider like trading for Leonard Fournette? But gosh, you guys have already had a lot of movement.
Yeah. Well, you have to look at the cap room. And to be very honest, I was shocked with this trade here. I really was. I didn't really think the Bucs had the draft capital to really make a move like, what they did, but, they pulled it off. There's one of the guys in the chat, Eric Hardnett. Last week, he was talking about Rob Gronkowski coming to Tampa, and I was like, nah, shut up, man. You're not coming here. No,
he was breaking the story, dude.
He was breaking. He said, come on, talk about Rob Gronkowski coming to Tampa. And I'm like, yeah, the only way he's coming to Tampa is through WrestleMania or something. I forgot something I said like that. And then here we are, and it's a reality. I'm like, man, what manner of sorcery is this?
That dude had his ear to the ground, bro.
And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So, just kind of going back to what I was saying, I just don't see the Bucs having the cap room to really grab a Leonard Fournette. I think you almost have to get these pieces from the draft. And what also comes to mind is I look at how clean the draft was last year. I thought that Tampa did a really good job with that draft. When you have Bruce Arians, when you have Todd Bowles, and you have Jason Light, and such a large coaching staff in Tampa, they were able to really make some really good decisions and key in on some players like Devin White, who, to me, Devin White made you forget about Quan Alexander. I know that, we talked about, oh man, what are we going to do? You lost Quan Alexander. Tampa goes out and gets Devin White. And then, Devin White gets injured and people are like, oh man, people are talking about Quan Alexander. And then you see him come back and you see the progression that he makes in the time that he has. And it's just, it was incredible. So exciting to see that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, what Jason Light and Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles and, Tom Brady, I have to throw his name in there too, because I believe, honestly, that he does have some say in what happens with draft picks. So, I don't know. Rarely even was saying, I was thinking about something, convert OJ Howard to wide receiver. He can be our slot guy. Keep Brait as a second tight end.
Slot guy. Oh my goodness.
I don't know what they're going to do. I know that they do need to address the third wide receiver with the loss of Brashard Perryman. And again, there are a lot of wide receivers that are in the draft. So we'll see. Hey, Kwame Richardson, Rarely Even, Eric Hardnett, Will the Brewer. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, again, I have Tony Dunn on from Carolina Cat Chronicles. I got the name right this time.
Yep.
I didn't call him Michael like I was trying not to. Buccaneer Bruce, what's going on? And, just when you look at that, when you look at Carolina's personnel, how does Carolina match up against, just when you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how does Carolina match up against them?
We don't. I mean, right now the Panthers don't match up against anybody. Maybe our offense will have a little something to it because we've got obviously one of the best players in the NFL in Christian McCaffrey. Teddy Bridgewater addition is going to be steady.
Is that growing on? Is that growing on you yet?
No, I miss Cam, man. So it's got nothing to do with Teddy. I just miss Cam already. I saw that Instagram video of Cam shooting hoops. And I'm like, he's like looking like a damn NBA player and stuff. And we just love Cam. He's just like something special to Panther fans, or at least to our podcast for sure.
Yeah.
But look, it's Teddy Bridgewater is going to be steady Eddie. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to be too high. He's not going to be too low. So the offense with the addition of Robbie Anderson may be okay, better than some people think. It's the defense. We don't know anybody on the defense at all. Shaq Thompson, and that's it. KK Short, who was hurt all last year. So my thing with is that
is he back healthy?
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, I think he was coming off a shoulder repair or something like that. So you really don't know until they play. They expect him to be there. Yeah. I would, but at the end of the day, is that the Panthers have zero defense, right? We don't have a secondary. The only name that you might even know is Trey Boston or Dante Jackson, who is Dante is cool. He's exciting, but he's also been a big pain in the ass, it seems like, in many ways.
So how far is he? He's second-year player, right?
Last year was the second year, yeah.
Okay, so this will be year 3 for him. I have to ask you then. I mean, the coach looks like he's getting guys that are fast. I mean, speed on the defensive side of the ball. The players that I've seen that have been brought in may not be like your world beaters, but they're fast and they want to play.
He likes athletes. Yeah, he likes athletes. I think Matt Rule would have probably gotten along well with Al Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like Al Davis used to love an athlete more than anybody. He sees somebody that's big, strong, and runs fast, and he fell in love.
Mad scientist.
Yeah, so I do think the speed is there. We just really have, we'll have to see what the draft does. You got to believe that the Panthers are going to be loading up heavy on defense in the draft. But there's just so much uncertainty when it comes to the Carolina Panthers that I really couldn't even tell you as I cannot think of a team in our division that we should be favored over at the moment. Right. I mean, it might not be that way in the end. You never know. Who knows what happens in the NFC? Sometimes the Saints could finish last for all we know, or the Falcons could be number 1. Who knows?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I cannot give you a real reason to believe that the Panthers should not be thought of as the 4th team in this division.
Wow. That's serious, man.
Dude, such a blessing, dude.
Yeah, I think you kind of get spoiled by what you have sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
The consistency. I mean, there were up years and there were down years, but the team was always competitive, so there was always that.
Exactly.
So and I have to ask you, when you look at the NFC South, how do you rank that? I mean, right now, just on paper, how are you ranking the teams in the NFC South right now?
Ooh, tough. I feel like if I give Tampa the immediate nod over the Saints, it's kind of
we're jinxed.
It's and a little insulting to a team who's been very, very good for a while now, right? It's Drew Brees ain't nothing, to sneak. Is that it's not like it's Tom Brady and then somebody else who he just completely overshadows. He doesn't overshadow a Drew Brees of a player. I don't fear the Saints a ton when it comes to their offense anymore. I do think they've gotten better with the additional Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah.
Right. I think that helps. But really what's scary about the Saints to me is they've always been bad on defense. Their defense is much improved. So I believe it's kind of like I'll give the tie to both the Saints and the Bucs right now.
Yeah.
Because I believe it's kind of like, hey, you got to knock the guy off the hill, and the Saints have owned the hill. So Saints, Bucs, Falcons, Panthers. The real story to me, I think, is weird is the Falcons. Is who knows? You never know what you're going to get with the Falcons. It's like eating a chocolate out of the chocolate box without the map.
That is true. You know what? What really surprises me, and I'm surprised that they've stayed intact as long as they have, is that they throw draft picks at positions. I've seen that with Tampa. Tampa has done that over the past decade, where you'll throw a draft pick at a position, and they really, that I could see on that team. There's not really any depth in any certain positions other than maybe wide receiver, but then you've got Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. I I don't know. They
They
just
also got Ty Gurley now. Like,
yeah.
and look, Ty Gurley played high school football 20 minutes from where I live at in Tarboro, North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
I know that the newsies around, they like to just harp on Gurley's knees. But that man, even with broken knees, is better than so many players. I believe Ty Gurley's career is not over. That's what I'm going to tell you guys. So I don't think he's just going to be a shell of Ty Gurley. Now, will he ever be to the point he was? I'm not saying that either. But hey, I tell you one thing is that if we play Ty Gurley, you better know where that guy is at on the field. And I don't care if he's 40 years old or 28 years old at that point, or in a wheelchair. Ty Gurley is a beast, dude.
Yeah.
So if he pops off in Atlanta, you don't ever know. If Atlanta, here's the thing: is Atlanta, if they run the ball, they win. The year that they were really good and they went to the Super Bowl and all that, that was with Devontae Freeman and the other guy.
He's playing for the Niners. God, what is it?
Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman. There you go.
They just, when they air raid it is when they tend to be an erratic team. But if they have an efficient run game, that's when they've been very good in the past. And I believe Ty Gurley could contribute that. I'm not sure if he will. So that's why they're third, but you don't know. You don't know with the
Falcons. The one thing that I will say is I hope they keep their offensive coordinator for the next decade. Make me very happy because I'm good with that. I just hope he stays there. Hope he stays as the offensive coordinator.
Who is it? It was Steve.
It's Dirk Cutter.
Oh, that's right. That was you guys.
Yeah. And I would love for that guy to just stay offensive coordinator in Atlanta forever. To be very honest, because that's going to help everybody else in the NFC South. I will tell you this: Tampa's run defense is incredible. And just, I really believe they're going to build on that. You got players. You got Vita Vea coming back for his third year. Devin White coming back, playing in his second year. He's got he's got a season under his belt. Excuse me. You got so many players that I'm looking forward to, and they were real good against the run last year. And that's the one thing that I'm looking forward to with this season coming up. Is the Bucs stopping the run, and then from that point, we'll get a chance to see how much improved the secondary is, and whether they can stay healthy and continue to get better. Tyler Johnson, how you doing?
I fully believe that, and that's why I was pointing to that defense earlier, and I think that is something that was attractive to Tom Brady.
Yeah,
and I think Tom Brady. Is that they had a good defense in New England last year, and it was their offense that was in the pits, and they won a lot of games. So I think if you have a good defense with Tom Brady there, is that he might not blow it up and throw 40 touchdowns next year, or something like that. But he might not have to either.
And that's the whole thing. I don't think he'll need to. It's just And as much as I like Jameis Winston, 30 interceptions is 30 interceptions. That's a lot more times that the opposing offense gets the ball back and they get to do what they need to do. And you cut that in half, and I believe there's a lot of games that the Bucs win. And I can't put it all on him. There's enough blame to go around for everybody. But at the end of the day, ball security. Keeping the ball on your side of the field and taking care of it and going in there and scoring, I think is huge. Tom Brady loves his tight ends. You've got
Bruce Arians doesn't.
Yeah,
which is strange.
And I think, and this is why I say, I'm not too worried about the tight ends. I think the tight ends are going to see more play this year because Tom Brady's, under center.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, I always said this about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning under center is like an offensive coordinator on the field. He's already dissected the defense, and he's got an idea of what he wants to do. And I've seen so many times where he audibles at the line. I expect to see that from. I expect to see the same thing from Tom Brady. Look at go out, scan the field, see see what the defense is going to do, and then just make your decision from there. But I do expect the running back, and I expect the tight end to play a bigger role this year than what we saw last year.
You know how people have talked about Tom Brady wanting to go to another team and in a way of showing that he cares about his legacy, in a way that says that my legacy should not only be rooted in that of Bill Belichick, right? This is the final chess move in the Brady becoming the GOAT type thing if he can go and win here. So we focused a lot on that as fans and the news has, but I think an equally interesting story about legacy will come to Bruce Arians and how he adapts to coaching the GOAT.
Yeah.
And I think this is that Arians, I mean, if you were going to go out and he was going to do a job interview, I think the people, if they hired him, they would be bringing him in because they believe he was sort of offensive guru, right? Is that
he's a teacher. And I've said this, I said this when the Bucs brought him in, he's a teacher. You look at his coaching tree is going to be huge. I think when everything is said and done and you look at his body of work, I think that his coaching tree is going to be huge. And the reason I say that, you look at a lot of the people that he's given the opportunity to, get in there and coach and learn the craft and become good at it. I think that's, what makes him such a good coach. With Tom Brady, I think about Shaq and Kobe. Shaq and Kobe worked well together. They were a dominant force when they worked together. But at the end of the day, Shaq went his way, Kobe went his way. And, I think it was to show, hey, I can do this on my own. And you kind of got that feeling from both of them. And that's kind of what I see with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Because you can make the argument either way. Was it Bill Belichick that was the mastermind behind all those Super Bowl wins, or was it Tom Brady that was the mastermind behind all those Super Bowl wins? And then what you kind of have to look at it, you could go either way with that.
Well, so Bruce Arians, though, is that all right, so he's this teacher, but where you think that his real value, you wouldn't describe him as a defensive coach, right? That would not be what you.
I think that's why Todd Bowles is here.
Yeah, the one thing he doesn't need to do, though, is teach Tom Brady now. And so what I think you'll see is we'll learn a lot about Bruce Arians as a coach, kind of as his ability to be malleable to a personality, to someone who has a greater reputation than he does, A, and B, like you were talking about the use of the tight ends, is that historically an Arians offense might not use the tight ends, but if he's not versatile enough to coach the best quarterback in the history of football, that will say something about him. Right. So I think that this is important for Arians' legacy. And if this works, he ascends into, he kind of earns his stripes for what people think he is.
Right. Absolutely. Because there's credibility to the reputation that he's built up.
Right. He won with the Steelers. He's won a lot of places. He hasn't hoisted the championship necessarily as the head coach. But if he does that, that's the legacy cementer there for him. So you guys the window is here, and they feel like it's open, and it's either open or shut.
Yeah. That's just like, when Carolina was in their, I wouldn't say heyday, but when Cam Newton was the MVP and you guys had that huge run, I mean, that was your window, right then and there. And a couple of years after that, and, it just didn't come to fruition. And I think a lot of that had to do with injuries and not correctly addressing injuries. I think had Cam Newton not came back when he did, I know he injured his foot in the Patriots game, injured his foot, and he tried to come back. He came back too soon. And I called that. I said, this guy is not 100%, and he shouldn't be on the field. And the one thing that I've learned in the NFL is if you're injured, don't play injured, because that's going to cost you. It's going to
He
cost
was
you a lot.
supposedly, he said he was hiding the injury and some stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see what Cam's legacy does after that. He's not in Carolina, and I know that we're not here to talk about Cam Newton A and B, the Los Angeles Chargers, but I do think that there's a kind of a dovetail of a storyline here as Tom Brady comes to a team he believes that can win now. The Chargers are sort of built to win now. If you look at the defensive pieces they have, I'm kind of starting wondering if the Chargers might be looking at what the Bucs are doing and say, you know what, we're not going to draft Tua, or we're not going to draft who's the other guy, Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Justin Herbert.
And we're going to draft I think they should draft Isaiah Simmons. And if you put Isaiah Simmons, Derwin James, Brent Ingram, Bosa, Linval Joseph up the middle, that defense is like nasty. And then go stick Cam in at quarterback, and dang, they might be in the damn Super Bowl.
You never know. And because you know what, before Derwin James got to San Diego, that defense was filthy to begin with. The secondary has always been strong. I think they draft well, and they do well with free agency as well, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, I could 100% see that. I got a question for you. Have you seen the reports about Percy Harvin possibly coming out of retirement to play football? Have you seen
Percy Harvin?
Headache.
How old is he?
Headache having Percy Harvin.
Yeah, he's like Dwayne Wade. He needed to wear sunglasses like when he was on the bench and stuff.
Yeah. So now there's this thing where he's like hinted that he's always wanted to play with Tom Brady. And it's been wild to, that's been kind of the talk. The only reason I bring this up,
31. Wow.
The only reason I bring this up is that because
in the league forever.
I know. Eric Hardnett, every time Eric Hardnett has brought somebody up and I've dismissed him, it's like come true. So like he was talking about Tom Brady. I was like, yeah, no, Tom Brady ain't coming here, Eric. Sorry, buddy. And I would go on, and then boom, Tom Brady's here. And then he was like, man, let's talk about Rob Gronkowski. And I'm like, no. Rob Gronkowski ain't coming here. No. And the next thing you know, poof, here he is. And I don't know if this guy's got like, I don't know if he's just got an inside track here on what's going on. Because, that's pretty much, he's been like 2-0 so far in the offseason. I think he's had a better offseason than some of these general managers out here. He should try to, probably apply with the Houston Texans. I think they need a general manager if I'm, I'm guessing right.
Well, I it's hard to say what Percy Harvin would do for a team at this point.
Yeah, I just don't know.
What you could see from Percy Harvin's perspective would be this, is he's looked at what happened with Randy Moss when he kind of, was able to find his way to Tom Brady. He probably looked at what Wes Welker and Edelman have done with Tom Brady. And we know that Percy Harvin was every bit as talented as most of those guys outside of, obviously not Randy Moss, but he was always plagued by these headaches or whatever it was, the migraine, always these ticky knick-knack injuries that were problematic. He was always a difference maker though when he played, man. Electric returner, all of this stuff. So he can play some football, that's for sure. I think he was probably having some personal problems too.
And you know what? He mentioned that on the tweet that I saw. He said that the family's good, personal problems are solved, or something to that effect. And he said he's in a good place right now. So, it's possible that he would be a hellacious kick returner. I think there's your special team. There's your special teams right there. If you get a guy like him, returning kicks, I think that would be, because the Bucs are still hurting in that special teams department right now. They just don't have anybody that's returning kicks or punts.
I wonder what the history of the NFL is with players that have kind of made a comeback after an early retirement. Like, what are the odds on that?
Yeah.
Of them being successful. It'd be a cool story, right?
Yeah.
It
You
would
know,
be a
it's
cool
it's
story.
interesting because pretty much the city of Boston hates Tampa now. Tampa's on the hit list. Uh, I don't know if you I listen to sports radio, so I'll get on iHeart and I'll go find. I've been listening to what they're saying in Boston, and they act like the Bucks have wronged them in some way, getting these players, and they're pissed off about it. So it's really interesting to it's going to be really interesting to see how this season kind of shakes out.
Maybe the Patriots go get Cam and then you meet them in the Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be an awesome Super Bowl? The
Yeah, that
Patriots
would
versus
be.
Bucks.
Yeah, that would be something. Patriots versus Bucks. There you go. I mean, you would pay money in Tampa, no less. If
Oh
that's
yeah.
if that's
Yeah, they should put that on pay-per-view instead of doing the normal. We'd all watch that mess. It
there
would
you
be a
go, man.
lot less.
I will. With this COVID-19, I don't know how everything's going to shake out, but I can tell you that if everything works out, I will be in Tampa for that. And I'm calling my son out too because he thinks he can throw the ball farther than me. He's a lot more accurate than me. I'm going to destroy him when we run up in each other. So, Trevor, just know that if you're watching, just know that I'm coming for you. So,
uh, it would be you always fantasize about these mega matchups.
yeah,
And
the NFL is just full of storylines.
yeah, and that would be cool. I mean, it's kind of like we always wanted to see Brady versus Manning type stuff, or Breeze
Yeah.
versus Manning. It's always good when you got the storyline and the backstory to it. Would be interesting. Imagine that. I mean, oh, that would be a great Super Bowl. I'd be cheering for damn Cam though.
I think that would be the one time that America would be cheering for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is if the Bucks played the Patriots. I
Yeah.
think Boston would be the only team that would be actually rooting for the Patriots.
Yep. Yep, for sure. So Percy Harvin, man, you don't know. Oh, I was going to say this. I saw a meme and I did think this was funny. It was about the Gronkowski trade and it was Bill Belichick and it was like him laughing. And he said, when Bill Belichick knows there's not going to be a season and he trades Gronkowski for a fourth. So if there's no season, he just gets a fourth round draft pick.
No doubt, man. I mean, how
Because
does
there's
that
only
work
1 year
out?
left on Gronkowski's contract, right? It's 20 this year.
That is wild. Ryan Roddy was asking, "What's up, Gene? Do you think the Bucks will trade up in the second round to get a running back, assuming we tackle in the first round?" You know what? I've given up on this because there's going to be so much movement. Year before last, I want to know it's been two drafts ago. I don't know if everybody remembers all the trades that were made. There was like it was a obscene amount of trades that were made in the first round. I expect to see something similar to that this year. I think you have several teams right now that are in that win now mode. Because like Tony mentioned earlier, the NFL has windows of opportunity, and if your window's closing, your window's closing. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, you have currently on the Bucks roster, you have Cameron Brate, you have OJ Howard, and now you have Rob Gronkowski, Tanner Hudson, and I know that I'm missing another tight end. So you've got a lot of tight ends. That's kind of a luxury position, when you look at Bruce Arians and what he does. And I'm telling you, one of those guys is going to go. I don't know if it's going to be Cameron Brate. I would imagine Cameron Brate with a larger contract. I would imagine Cameron Brate. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe OJ Howard with the larger upside. You move OJ Howard to another team and get a draft pick to do a little bit more. That's always a possibility. I think
And it seems like OJ Howard may be in the doghouse a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't know, but it's
yeah.
odd. It's just odd. OJ Howard is weird.
Yeah, it's just frustrating when you look at, and I'm not gonna beat a dead horse because I wasn't the guy that really wanted you know, I wasn't a huge Dalvin Cook fan, but the fact that the Bucs were in need of a running back at the time, and Dalvin Cook was available in the draft at that time, but they grabbed the best player on the board that they felt was the best player on the board in OJ Howard, considering they already had a couple of other tight ends, in on the roster. I don't know. It's frustrating to see, some of the moves that were made, then and how it's coming back to affect the team now. So
we were talking earlier about and like the commenter in the YouTube chat when we were talking about potential of getting a running back in the second and then being a contributor, right? Mm-hmm. We were talking about certain positions having difficulties or more challenging. Seems like tight end may be one of those a little bit. What I have not seen is a tight end make a giant difference a lot in his rookie year.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if you think Greg Olsen, who is a fantastic player for the Carolina Panthers, had this kind of meager start in Chicago, and then he came into came into fruition. So I think it's kind of interesting that when you take a tight end that early in the draft, you want them to be a contributor right away.
Right.
And that might be some of the problems with OJ Howard, but he really did contribute.
Yeah, he really did. And just as a physical blocker, I think it was huge, having him on the field. I don't think people realize how much he contributed just as a blocker. He wasn't out there, making catches, but he was actually, protecting the quarterback at times. And I think that kind of gets missed as well. But
he's going to get traded after the draft. Yeah. Bucs are probably looking to see what can we get in the draft, and whatever they don't get in the draft that they want is going to be OJ Howard used to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really believe that that's going to happen. I was thinking Cam Brate, but I don't know. I just feel like OJ Howard will be the guy that goes somewhere else, and because he has the larger upside. I think you could actually, he has more value than a Cam Brate or Tanner Hudson or some of the other tight ends that the Bucs have. So is that possibility? Robert, goodness. Sean Castile is saying, I wonder how OJ felt when he saw Gronk coming to Tampa. I'm sure that
what a pendulum swing of emotion for OJ Howard. When you hear Tom Brady is coming to Tampa, he must have been so excited. He's like, Tom Brady loves tight ends. I'm going to get back in action. And then 20 minutes later, he's in the pendulum swings the other way, and he's kicked out of town likely.
Yeah, that's just wild, all this stuff that's going on. And just for you, if you get a chance to watch, a guy that you really need to watch is Ron Jones for Tampa, the running back for Tampa. We haven't talked about him. I know we're talking about a running back here. I think that Tampa was just at times offensively in a position where they couldn't commit to the run because you're either playing from behind or, you're trying to play catch up. Something's happening where you can't just run the ball and control the clock and do what you need to do. But I can tell you right now, the guy has underrated hands. I believe that, with Tom Brady here, I think you're going to see a lot of Ron Jones. I don't call him Ronald Jones anymore because he's a man and he would run over me, you, and my mom if that's what it took to score a touchdown, just the way this guy runs. And he's the guy that I'm looking forward to seeing him. If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to play a huge factor in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting wins this year.
I remember him having a pretty. What was it? Was it last year that he put up the yards, or was it the year before?
It was last year. Last year was his second year, and under Dirk Cutter, they pretty much did not commit to the run at all. And then you see him go in and he worked hard. He put on muscle, and he started looking like a running back. His style of running, he was a little bit more aggressive, and that's what I expect to see from him even more. That's why I say him, Devin White and Ronald Jones are the two guys that I expect to make that huge jump in this upcoming season. But
Yeah, I mean, maybe the run game has less to do with who the running back is sometimes than who's blocking for him.
yeah, and on top of that, I think you need a second running back. The NFL is a copycat league, and you don't see very many three down backs. I think Ezekiel Elliott and possibly who's the running back from
Derrick
Tennessee,
Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other teams that have that.
Saquon.
Yeah, but he's been getting hurt quite a bit.
Here's the thing is that even if you have a 3 down back, you have to be prepared for if that guy
He
isn't
goes down.
available. And that's the key here is that really it's not always about having the perfect team, but having players step in perfectly when you need them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably important. I mean, obviously he's got to stay healthy. The problem is and I've seen this with the Panthers in the past a little bit, is where you just put a little bit too much all in on a player. You don't have a contingency plan and enough depth if that goes down. So the real sad thing would be is you do all of this and something, God forbid, one of those marquee players goes down and you don't have the horses in the stable to continue, right? So imagine if, Tom Brady and all of this offense is there and then you get an injury, and I'm not trying to jinx anybody on injuries, but say to somebody of the caliber player Devin White, right?
Yeah.
And then all this, you don't want your whole season to be, it's kind of the Cam effect. The Cam thing is like when Cam gets hurt, it's just like, oh, we got no chance.
There was such a huge drop off from Cam Newton to the next quarterback, or just in any position. And you kind of saw that last year with Tampa when Mike Evans went down with a hamstring injury, and then you've got Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's your number one receiver, and then he goes down with an injury, and then you have Brashard Perryman as your number one receiver. So they've continuously had to do that.
What's your pick? What's your draft pick? What number?
14.
Gosh, how difficult is it going to be for Arians to not go like Jerry Jeudy?
I'm worried about that, man. I would love to see Jedrick Wills. I would love to see Tampa just say, with the 14th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers choose Jedrick Wills. I would be good with that, because that's something. You've got a guy that you can plug and play, and you're set. But Jerry Jeudy, just the measurables for this guy, his skill set translates to the NFL, and how. It's interesting because you have Chris Godwin, who they need to re-sign, who the Bucs need to re-sign.
Which they can't keep Mike Evans and Godwin.
Yeah,
that's in the long term. That's the thing is they're not gonna be able to pay both of them.
Yeah,
this is not the Vincent Jackson and who was it? Was it Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans? You guys had
it was Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans, and Vincent Jackson got hurt. And it was Mike Evans on one side, and I believe Adam Humphries may have been on the other side. So,
I don't know what I've seen the Panthers do this in the past, and that is draft a player at a position that you have a marquee player going into a contract year. And so what the thing is that if Tampa doesn't have an answer at wide receiver, they're going to have to pay Godwin. And they're going to have to pay him big time, right? But if they have another guy there that kind of leverage, that either brings the contract down maybe or just says, hey, thanks for your service. We only got so much room here. So I've seen teams do that in the past. I don't know if you guys are going to do it, but interesting, who knows?
It's really what's concerning to me, and I don't mean to be Debbie Downer here. You've got all these guys in here. You've got Gronk here. You've got Brady. You got Sue for a year. You've got all these guys in here. But when this is all said and done, you're still going to be Bucs fans, and you're still going to need some kind of talent on the field after these guys are gone. So yeah, I get it. It's a possibility. I could see Bruce getting a wide receiver, but again, Bruce Arians and Jason Light, all these guys are all working. And I have to say Tom Brady. I have to include the three. They're the, they're the guys that are all working together, I believe. they all have to come to an agreement on what's going to make this team work and what's going to give this team the best opportunity to win games. You know, somebody that you can plug and play, and you're not having to wait for them to grow or progress. That they can just go out there and start playing. So
You
I
got to
think
need offensive line. It would be a travesty if you don't pick an offensive line with that
you
first.
really need to. I can't say it enough. You know, with Tom Brady, you saw how much Tom Brady was under duress.
Last year, had
Yes,
you
last year.
ever seen Tom Brady on his back more than last year?
No, I have not, and
I'm
that
so
was to
used,
my point right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm so used to seeing Tom Brady come out of a game with the cleanest jersey, like he didn't even do anything.
Yep, he's got that what is that, the Deion Sanders effect, where you just have a come out with a clean jersey, not even
Yeah,
a grass
right,
stain on it.
right. But that was not the case last year.
No.
So some of that was not just Tom Brady. You know, a lot of people want to say Tom Brady hit the
You
wall.
know what? I'm gonna say this about Tom Brady. I don't think Tom Brady had the horses to do what he normally does. Tom Brady has the ability to get the ball out, process a play, and get the ball out in a matter of a few seconds. And I don't think that his receivers were getting that separation. I don't think that plays were progressing fast enough. And, he was just put in a position where he had to hold on to the ball. And I think,
And they didn't pull off their signature. Our offense is broken move. Let's get Antonio Brown and it work. Right? Is that they do that every year? They just be like, "Hey, we're gonna stick in this guy," and all of a sudden he's gonna be like Randy Moss was again. That it didn't work last year because Antonio Brown is a nutcase,
yeah,
and he really ruined the opportunity. Think of
bro,
this:
I'm telling you,
Antonio Brown forced his way out of Oakland when you didn't think he could, without ruining his chances to play, winds up in New England and ruins his chances to play. Had they had Antonio Brown that last year, Tom Brady's season may not have looked so meager.
yeah, I believe that. I honestly believe the football gods have a sense of humor, and just just what you saw, the process that you saw happen, how I believe that Antonio Brown pretty much trolled the Raiders, got out of his contract, ended up in New England, like you said, and then boom, here he is in trouble. And now, I don't see him playing this year. I don't. If he gets out of whatever he's in, I still don't see him. I don't see him being able to play.
I'm so tired by Antonio Brown, right? And these guys is first of all, I feel bad because I defended the Le'Veon and the Antonio Brown, and for so long when they were in Pittsburgh, saying these guys are special and they have deserved this kind of big money. But then you like who's the other guy? Who is the he was a receiver that played with the Browns and then he went to Cleveland. He's the guy that has all the problems with the weed.
Oh, Josh Gordon.
Yeah. So I defended Josh Gordon for years, trying to say, oh, they're persecuting him over little stuff. And then come to find out he was like selling like $30,000 a week of weed when he was in college. So I get fatigued by when I invest in somebody. I'm fatigued by Antonio Brown. And I would just like, there's some crazy I just don't want in my house.
Yeah, there you go. I will say this, that Antonio Brown changed after the Vontaze Burfict hit, and I'll argue that with anybody on that. If you look at the timeline from when Vontaze Burfict hit him and when he recovered and how he acted after he got that hit, he has never been right. I mean, his quality of play has always been there, but just decision making and some of the things that he's done, he has never been right since that Vontaze Burfict hit. Never.
He might be a walk-in CTE.
It would, and I don't wish this on anybody, but it would be interesting to know what his brain looks like. Just because,
and that is one of the kind of like CTE almost like makes you bipolar.
Yeah.
In a way, and that is he's so erratic.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is and I was watching this show Homeland, and this girl in the show is all like that. and they're so high at times. I almost you felt like you could see that with Antonio Brown, where he comes in the hot air balloon, like he's on these high highs, and then the low, and then it's just crazy town. So
Yeah.
it might not be that far fetched, to be honest.
Dude, I'm serious. If you go back and look at the timeline from when Vontaze Burfict hit him to where he is now, you just see how it's just gotten progressively worse. And I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and say this, but when Juju Smith Schuster hit him, lit him up, and gave him a concussion, I wasn't mad about it. I didn't like that he stood over him. I didn't like that he kind of Heinz Warded him, but it just it is what it is.
Yeah, man, perfect. And then wasn't he going to be on the team with Antonio Brown?
This is the thing. There was almost a fight between Antonio Brown and somebody within the Raiders organization, and guess who broke up the fight?
Perfect.
Exactly. I am not making this up. This is true life. Right?
You can't make that up.
Well, dude, it's almost been it's just crazy how this is just how this is progressing. Are you guys doing a draft show tomorrow?
Yes, live draft party starting at 7:30.
Please promote it.
It's our eighth annual or our eighth one. So think about this: is all of the world has made this giant adjustment with COVID and the NFL trying to do this draft virtually and stuff. We have been doing this for 8 years. We host a live draft party. We bring in a ton of people. Analyst Gene, I'd love for you to be able to come on around the Bucs pick, after the Bucs pick, whenever is available for you. We cycle in analysts, we cycle in fans. We have live reactions to the draft, and it's amazing because you get that raw emotion immediately.
Yeah, I will be. You've got it, man. I know I'll be doing my own, but I've got another device. I can definitely chime in there real quick and let you know what's going on. But one thing that I have been doing with my esteemed guests as they come on, and I appreciate this, I put people on the hot seat. So basically, I've got 10 questions. And I give you a minute to answer 10 questions, and then see how you do here. Are you open to that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
I saw Bob handle this just fine the other day.
Bob was 9 seconds over. I was just being nice. Oh yeah, he was 9 seconds over. I was being nice to him.
Wow.
So okay, so here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the question, and then I'll start the timer because you're a guest here, okay? All right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, NFC South contenders, buy or sell?
Buy.
Name a team that trades up to the top 10 portion of the draft.
Ooh. Eagles.
All right. Who is the worst draft pick in NFL history?
Jamarcus Russell.
Who is the best draft picks? Who was the best draft pick in Bucs history?
Oh, and Bucs, that's mean to me to do that. I'm gonna go.
Okay, let me change that. I'm gonna stop it. In Panthers history.
Cam Newton.
Okay.
Peppers.
All right. The virtual 2020 draft will be a success. Buy or sell?
Sell.
Who is your dark horse team in 2020?
Oh, dark horse, the Cardinals.
Who is the most overrated team in 2020?
Overrated team in 2020 will be the Cowboys.
Most overrated player for 2020?
Gosh, I don't know. Alvin Kamara.
Okay.
I love Alvin Kamara. I don't even know why I said that.
Okay, draft bust of 2020. I know you don't follow this.
Bust of 2020. Ooh.
Who do you think is overrated?
I think it's going to be Justin Herbert.
Robert James Gronkowski, boom or bust?
Bust.
All right.
I
You
want to
got
say boom. I know that took like 2 minutes.
it's all good, man. I hit you with some tough questions this time.
I'm trying to
But
think of so the questions that are tough on me is all right. So who is the most overrated team?
to me,
Who
I
do
would
you
have said
think?
Dallas. I would have said
Yeah.
Dallas. That was my choice because uh, I unfortunately am associated with a bunch of Dallas Cowboy fans that really believe that everything they've done in free agency and what they're going to do in the draft is going to put them in the driver's seat towards the Super Bowl in the NFC side of the ball. And for me, my thing is, as long as Jerry Jones is a general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, they are not winning anything. Period. End of story. You might as well wait for this guy to kick the bucket, and then you might have a chance to win some stuff.
I'm trying to overrated player too. I usually go to whoever was the top running back from last year, but that was Christian McCaffrey. I don't want to say that. I feel like we have recency bias. What about breakout player? Comeback player is comeback player Todd Gurley or Cam Newton?
That's a good question. I got to write that down. That's going to be a question for.
Comeback player is always fun. There's always one. There's always somebody that, when it comes to fantasy, there's just so much recency bias. So they just basically list whatever people did last year, this year. I wonder if I'll be interested to see what Derrick Henry's able to do. It's gonna be tough for him to repeat last year.
And like for me, most overrated for 2020, I would have said, who's the quarterback for Tennessee?
Tannehill. Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I would have said either Ryan Tannehill or the quarterback for Jacksonville.
Who is Jimmy Graham playing for now?
Jimmy Graham is not. He's not with Green Bay anymore, or is he? Let's look and see.
I don't know. That's another one that people.
You know what? That would have been a good pick too.
Might be Chicago. Let's see. I think it is. Is it?
I think it might. I think you might be right. I know. Because he's in the NFC wherever he is.
Yeah, he's in the the Bears. Oh, another one I want to make. We could have said Nick Foles.
We could have said Trubisky's.
Oh yeah,
Trubisky's could be on there too. Will the Brewer said my questions were tough for you, and I do apologize. I'll next time I have you on, they will be easier. And I'm always player. Huh?
One more player for you. Breakout player, Gardner Minshew, baby.
Yeah, Mushu Pishu. There you go.
Dude, he went to East Carolina University and then he transferred away. That's my alma mater. But I love that dude too.
You know what? I like that he made the most of his opportunity to, just play, and he pretty much kept the starting position, and that's an amazing story. And I've always been cool with what he's done. Oh, okay. Somebody said the Bills, the Buffalo Bills will be a dark horse. They've dumped a lot into free agency this year.
And let me ask you this: are you a dark horse when you're the favorite?
The Bills have just
the division, right?
The Bills. Let's look at it a couple of ways here. New England, regardless, Tom Brady's here or gone. Belichick is still there. You've got pretty much all the framework there. So the Patriots are still going to always be the favorites until they're not the favorites. And, when you look at the Bills always do something to shoot themselves in the foot at some point in the season. The Miami Dolphins and
Josh Allen. Who was it against? Was it Tennessee? Who did they play last year? Houston or something?
Yeah, I think it was Houston.
Josh Allen, where he looked like he was on meth. He went and some crystal meth out there, and then was throwing the ball backwards. It was wild.
So when I look, and that was perfect. I would have gone with the Buffalo Bills. I know they're supposed to be a favorite.
Carolina 2.0. People joke that they're Carolina North because they get a lot of old Carolina players because they're their general manager and Brandon Beane, as well as their head coach and Sean McDermott, all come from Carolina.
Yeah.
Formerly, they added Mario Addison, who was a defensive player from Carolina. So they always get this. They should, in my mind, they're the best. They've got the best roster in that division. But man, because Miami, I can't believe in the Jets. I can't believe in Miami till I see it.
Yeah. Miami, geez Louise, man. And poor Josh Rosen. I don't even know what to tell you about that poor guy, man. I mean, just
Obviously,
what happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously,
what is his psyche? What is his psyche right now? You're like a top 5 draft pick, and then the next year you're getting traded.
I think he might have gone 12, actually.
I'm sorry, 12.
But it was close. He was one of the first quarterbacks taken.
Okay, let me say top 15. I can say that. Okay. And then he gets traded to Miami.
Jettisoned after 1 year on the worst team in football.
Man, that is crazy.
And you can't even compete in Miami, though.
Yeah.
That's up. He might not be good, dude.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's like the Khloe Kardashian of the NFL, man. I mean, he just, it's kind of booted him out and, kind of moved him on. And then, here he is in Miami, and they're talking about, drafting a quarterback. So what do you do now? I mean,
oh, he's a journeyman dude now. He's already a clipboard.
Would you consider you would consider him a journeyman after 2 years?
He's yeah. Because he's going to be on a different team this year, and a different team next year. Really, the problem is Josh Rosen was reincarnated. He should have been reincarnated as a Cleveland Browns draft pick, right? Is that he really has gotten the poor guy. It's like, remember that run of Browns quarterbacks from Tim Couch, all these guys that they drafted to Brandon Whedon. Maybe Dallas drafted Brandon Whedon. I'm not sure, but that list, you see that picture of that Browns fan walking around where he's put the new name on the jersey and he's got all those names up there. So Rosen is poor. I could have put him as one of the biggest draft busts.
I don't know that you really can. And
it's not fair. Like, he hasn't played.
This isn't really fair to him because what was it? Steve Wilkes. They did him dirty too, by the way. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but I just feel like, you need more than a year to get your scheme in place. And I just don't feel like, he was given the ample opportunity. He inherited a bad situation, number one.
There was something crazy I saw because I watched it a little bit because he was our defensive coordinator.
Right. I remember that.
They had
glad he left.
150 more roster moves than any other team or something. It was something crazy. I can't remember what the stat was, but it just showed, and they were just roster moves. Like, it was like every day the team was different because of injury, because of nobodies. You know what I'm saying? And
it's like they went to labor ready and they were like, okay, we need a tight end. Let's go to labor ready and get a tight end in here.
I have been critical of the Cardinals, but I do want to bring this up before we go when it comes to the draft. Is maybe, in one hand, the Cardinals were unfair and didn't give time to see what happened. Or on the other side of the coin, maybe they pulled the trigger once they saw it wasn't the right thing. And you got to wonder if that question is going through the minds of Ron Rivera in Washington. Do you see the entire lack of faith when it comes to their who's the guy from Ohio? Dwayne Haskins.
Oh, Haskins, yeah.
Right. I heard Ron Rivera say that if they walked in without training camp or without OTAs or whatever, that he would have put Kyle Allen would likely be in the lead for the starting job. So if that's the case, I know that's sad because Kyle Allen is Kyle Allen, and that's total Ron Rivera too, by the way. So maybe, if you're the Redskins, what I'm saying is this, that sometimes you just cut bait.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the case is, but there's going to be another team that does it at some point soon.
Yeah.
It won't just be the Cardinals,
Yeah. And that makes sense right there, because then you have a chance to get in Kingsbury, who Kingsbury coached Patrick Mahomes. And Kingsbury comes in, and then you get
little football giant Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray.
Like he's in that movie, The Little Giants, dude.
And Kyler Murray is just, he's a smart kid. The way he plays the game, he's smart. And I think that it's like, okay, I don't have Patrick Mahomes, but this is the next best thing. And he's played to his strengths, and this kid he's been amazing. Just
I
watching.
told you in my when I was on the hot seat, I said my dark horse team is the Cardinals. Now I don't know if they're going to all of a sudden be winning crazy, but I think that they're going to get better.
Dude, look who they got. They've got the best they've got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is nasty, and that shows you kind of a recency bias too. Is that like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins forgot how to play football? No. He was, is that last year was a down year in comparison to his other years because he never dropped the ball. He dropped like the first pass of the season or something like that. But he's going to ball out. I think Kyler Murray is a name that all of a sudden is going to be a superstar name. It could be a superstar name next year in like what we think about Lamar Jackson. You know how Lamar Jackson becomes the name, how Patrick Mahomes becomes the name. Kyler Murray might be one of those guys that is really lighting it up every week.
This is gonna be a fun season to watch. I'm gonna get to watch Kyler Murray this year. I got to watch him once in camp last season, and he's phenomenal. He's faster in person than what you see on film. Or what you see on the field. Just actually watching him, I was just like, wow. He's a special player. So I think the Cardinals did. If I'm the Cardinals, I would have probably done the same thing. I would have jettisoned Rosen to the Miami Dolphins or Cleveland Browns or somebody, and just made room for this kid because he's a special talent. He really is.
Guts to do that too. In some ways it takes guts to admit you're wrong. Right, courage to say, and to not say, well, we got to give this more time, this and that. Is that sometimes, and I'll be interested to see what maybe the Panthers do if they see this. I'm going to be really fascinated by this top 10.
Okay, okay, I'm going to ask you this. Put your GM hat on. I know you've got your Panthers hat on. Who do the Panthers pick? Who are they picking up?
Well, the problem with that is all the movement that's suspected in those early picks, whether the Dolphins, it's kind of just like who falls to us. So I have some interesting I think right now the popular name is Isaiah Simmons. A lot of people, the over, like Vegas has him at 7.5 is the over under on Simmons, and we picked 7. So that means like they're expecting it to be in there. Simmons is one of those athletes that because he's so freaky athletic, he might be hard for a team to pass on him. So I could see maybe the Giants, actually, I know people don't think this, and the Giants are going to go get an offensive lineman, but Dave Gettleman talks about generational talents, and he talked about Saquon Barkley like this. You got to wonder, working with a Luke Kuechly, if Isaiah Simmons is appealing to him or if he goes offensive tackle there. Then you just got to see what happens with the quarterback. So I think the Panthers, Isaiah Simmons is probably realistic. I could see them going with the Derek Brown kid from Auburn. Is that right?
Yeah.
Auburn?
Derek Brown, Auburn. Yeah, I believe so.
And, then you got to see, is the Lions talking about trading back? Is that smoke? And are they really going to take Okudah? So if the Panthers, I think the hard part is going to be for the Carolina Panthers, if Simmons is there, Okudah is there, and Tua is there, which I know that's a lot of players being there. What do? I'm interested in us drafting Tua if he's there.
Yeah, that I think that's the piece you miss right there. The athleticism that Cam Newton brought to the team, who you have, what you have right now. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I love his accuracy, but I think you lose a lot of athleticism with Cam Newton going on as opposed to what you had with a Teddy Bridgewater.
It looks like a Drew Brees and Russell Wilson made a baby, to me, is what I think with Tua. So yeah, he's somewhat athletic, but his game is more related to an earlier Drew Brees, a younger Drew Brees, or Russell Wilson. For me, the one thing I don't want the Panthers to do is draft like a wide receiver. I would be upset by that. I would be okay with us taking offensive lineman or defensive lineman. And I would secretly be okay with us taking Tua because there's a big void left in the fan base after Cam's gone. And that would generate kind of hope and optimism for the future. Maybe not this year. It would be a good situation too. Like, just let Teddy play. I just don't know if the Dolphins are going to be able to pass on Tua.
Yep, I see what you mean.
Honestly, how can the Dolphins not draft a quarterback at this moment? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you just never know. Again, there you go. And I'm out here. I'm actually looking on NFL.com, and it looks like they have Derek Brown as the number 7 pick.
Because we had the worst. That might be Daniel Jeremiah's draft. I wonder. He likes Derek Brown there, or Bucky Brooks likes Derek Brown a lot too. You know, the Panthers had one of the worst. Speaking of Tampa being really good against the run, the Panthers were really terrible against the run, and having that big boy. They're not sexy, right? It's not sexy to pick a run stuffing defensive tackle that isn't getting you the sacks like an Aaron Donald may be, but they're necessary for a team. A lot of people just wonder if you should invest that much, that high, 7 for a kind of like a not a star position.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. I mean, just looking at this particular draft, this mock draft here, I don't know. It's just crazy. You've got Henry Ruggs going at number 13 to San Francisco. I swear to you, Javon Kinlaw would be my pick at number 14 because they have the Raiders picking him at number 19.
Kind of upside. I think it's like Derek Brown is the better player today, and Javon. A lot of people believe Kinlaw could be the better player in the end.
Yeah. I believe that. And that's what you guys were missing. I mean, and I have to ask you this question. I'm glad that, you've come on and I appreciate this. How much of an impact was Gerald McCoy for the Carolina Panthers? I mean, I want you to be open and honest.
Yeah. All right. So McCoy was a lot of what he probably was with the Bucs at times. And that is, he was productive, and then sometimes he wasn't. Or actually, this is that I feel like, as I always saw, I just every now and then you saw him have a bad look. Like it was like, gosh, why are you over there? Or why are you on your back? Right? It doesn't make sense. Every now and then. But I would say this is that Joe McCoy was very important to our team last year. We had no leadership. He stepped in immediately. He was very vocal. I could see like all the things that I wondered about when it came to Tampa Bay and Gerald McCoy. I kind of felt like I witnessed in a single year. It's like he's really such a good dude, but then at times it's like annoying that he's so vocal and stuff. And you're like, man, I'm just tired of hearing you be rah and like
just go out and make some plays.
Yeah, and so, but we didn't have anybody last year in the locker room, so it was very important there. He really
picked. And the only reason I brought this up,
he should have picked the Ravens, dude. He screwed up.
Yeah,
he screwed up.
And I 100%. I said that from the beginning. I said that's where he should have gone. With the injuries that were suffered in Carolina, it kind of exposed him, and it just, I don't want to say it exposed him, but I guess that's a good way, a good description, because that's pretty much what happened.
Well, we did. Is that there were 2 guys that went down, and that really Gerald McCoy had to be more to the team than we probably wanted him and envisioned him to be in the beginning. When KK Short goes down and Dontari Poe goes down, you're not going to be putting home. You're not rotating them in. Mm-hmm. He was out there. He was like only one of the. We needed him to be generating pass rush consistently. And that's not really fair to to him as a player at that time. So
that's just not his strength.
If KK would have been healthy, maybe those guys would have made some noise together. but they didn't,
Yeah.
And so McCoy is an additional player right now.
And again, I've just like defended this guy for years and years and years, always have. And the way he left Tampa he was kind of, I don't want to say petty, but I was like, really, dude? After everybody's like supported you and all this, and this is how you're going out. But I will say this, and I think I sent you an instant message, because there were a couple of times where offensive linemen put him on his back. And
then there were one that told me that. It's like you're flopping around like a crab back there or something.
and I've got screenshots of this stuff. And then there were times, the run block, I don't know, just the defense against the run, he just is not good against the run. And
well, man, we were terrible against the run, so I cannot dispute that at all. And he just wasn't. The whole defense was a mess. The Panthers is kind of one of those things. Is how do you know who's bad when the whole team is bad?
Yeah, you almost kind of have to isolate this and just look at each player, player by player. And for Gerald McCoy, he was being paid. I don't know. I just would have expected more productivity out of him. Just for, what he was getting. And I'm not trying to count. I wasn't trying to count anybody's money. I know that I can't remember who it was. Somebody came in and trolled me because Tampa didn't try to do anything to bring him back. And I was like, okay, I'm good with that. And then he bring in Ndamukong Suh, and the mentalities are different. The mentalities are totally different. And Ndamukong
Suh is going to throat punch you or slam you, not you buy an icy truck for the team.
Exactly. Joe McCoy is going to shake your hand and help you up and dust you off. Tie your cleats up if they need to be or whatever. And Ndamukong Suh is, he's just, he's going to do what he does.
Stomp on your knee.
And just his mentality really helped with Vita Vea, I believe. Just because they play, right next to each other, I felt like, this is who you need. You need to learn from somebody that's aggressive. You don't need to learn from somebody who's, hey,
a softy.
Yeah, you don't want to learn from somebody who's like going to shake your hand and help you up and stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's sportsmanship. But at the end of the day, you want aggression out there, especially in the positions that they play.
I would just say this is look back at Steve Smith.
That guy was
he would have punched you in the face. He wouldn't have helped you up. Is that some guys don't have a lot of dog in them, and
yeah, he did.
Maybe Gerald McCoy.
Who did he beat up? Who did he beat up? Somebody.
Who did he not beat up? He snatched down. He iced up Talib Kweli, Aqib
Talib. Yeah, Aqib Talib. I remember that. No, there was somebody on your team he beat up, and I cannot remember who it was.
He punched. He's gotten in multiple fights with teammates, but one that you're probably thinking of is when he broke Ken Lucas's nose.
Yes.
Ken Lucas was, or I think Janoris Jenkins.
Yep.
He his ass out there because supposedly Janoris Jenkins had like Googled his wife's name or something like that and was talking about how he had a white wife or something like that and said her name, and then he went batshit on him. Don't mess with damn Steve Smith.
Yeah, because I remember Steve Smith waited for somebody after the game was over too.
Oh, that was a Patriots game. Who was? Yeah. Like they had to like escort their family out of there.
Yeah,
because it's gonna. I don't know who that was, and it was like an offensive player too.
Yeah, I just because I wanted Steve Smith to come to Tampa just because of how he is, and I was like, yeah, I would love for this guy to come here because I think that's what your wide receiver core needs, guys like this. But anyway, thank you so much, man. I'm glad you got to come on. Such short notice. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, on Twitter, you can find me at cat_chronicles. We're on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. live on YouTube with the longest running Panthers podcast. And
I don't pay any attention to the other ones. No offense, but I just don't.
Awesome. You can find us on, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. But tomorrow night, folks, if you want to watch the draft, or just peek in, I know you guys are going to be watching it here too. So if you want to peek in and see how fans are reacting to different picks, it's fun. It's funny. We had a Jets guy on last year. We had a Jets analyst when the Giants picked Daniel Jones at 6. He lost it, dude. It was like the most epic. He laughed. You remember? He laughed like. Do you remember in Dumb and Dumber where they poisoned the guy by accident? Like they put pepper, and he laughed in his face, and it was like spit coming out. That's how that dude laughed when the Giants drafted Daniel Jones. That's the beauty about the live draft party. I'll be interested to see how the NFL does with it. See if they're any better at us than this YouTube game. Because
have you seen the actual video where the NFL draft gets hacked?
No.
I got to send that to you. And when this is over, I'll shoot you over that video. Okay. It's hilarious. That's the NFL's got to get this right. They just do. They've had enough time. They've had enough time to get ready for the draft. There should not be
resources. They have enough resources. They're not like us.
This is a $1 billion organization.
Trillion, probably.
Dude, go buy one of these streaming services and just have them tailor it to what you need.
Don't you think that that's a missed opportunity for Zoom or for Streamlabs or?
I would buy Zoom and be like, okay, I own Zoom now. This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, but they should have partnered with somebody. It would have been cool if like YouTube would have stepped in and partnered with them and said, "We'll do this for you."
The NFL does so many things that I don't understand, like the whole NFL Sunday Ticket. They really need to disperse that among the cable companies and make it available to everybody. Don't monopolize it and just have it where you have to get DirecTV to do this. I think there would be more revenue if they were able to, say, okay, this cable company, Comcast or, Cox or somebody, hey, we're offering you the Sunday Ticket as well, for your people, and just kind of disperse that money around to everybody and don't make it exclusive.
Man, I tell you, this is satellite TV is going to die.
It's going to die soon.
Yeah. And if the NFL, it might be the only thing keeping it alive right now.
Yeah. And this COVID-19 is going to kill.
Yeah, I think it's going to ruin. Yeah, I think it's going to ruin everything. I think it's done. I think we're all streaming now.
Yeah, and I think that the NFL needs to get on board, and they need to just, if they need to purchase it, and just make it your own. And there are like you said, missed opportunities. This, the draft should be exciting, and we should all be looking forward to the draft. I'm worried about glitches and bugs and everything else, man. I'm just, I've gone out to get ready and you want to make sure that you're able to stream all this, and we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens.
I'm just annoyed by these major entities with their janky ass equipment. Like you watch the morning shows and stuff. It's like people are just using their air.
Like they've got dial up.
Yeah. It's like, why don't y'all just get these at the very minimum, get these guys a damn Blue Snowball and earphones, folks, and learn how to. So we'll see if it's
it's interesting. Awesome. It's interesting where we are right now, because I remember a time when these guys were on ESPN, CBS, NFL Network, and they were looking down on podcasters. And now know what?
Yeah, yes.
And we were considered fringe media, but now you got these clowns doing the same thing we're doing, but we do it better.
Yeah, they're worse. We don't have an IT team. We figured out how to stream to the internet in 2014, guys.
Yeah.
And like the $1 billion companies are struggling with it now.
Yeah, and we make them look bad.
Yep. That's why we're actually secretly rooting on our podcast for the draft to be awful, because it would give us a little validity and credibility that we've been dying for.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? Who knows? An anonymous may come on there and just hack the draft and then just take it over. You just never know.
God, that'd be awesome.
All right, my friend. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. Folks, this is, again, Tony Dunn, not Michael Dunn, as I said earlier. That's his son. This is Tony Dunn from Carolina Cat Chronicles. I always do last thoughts. What are your last thoughts before we roll out of here, man?
Last thoughts are all about the draft right now is that we need the draft actually to work well because we're so thirsting for sports news and we're tired of conjured up stories. The NFL draft finally gives us real stories and things to talk about rather than if I have to look at another mock draft by another analyst, I'm going to go nuts, right? It's give us something real to talk about. So that's my last thoughts. I'm excited about the draft is all like you mentioned a couple years ago when there's a lot of movement, it makes the draft so good, right?
Yes.
When it doesn't just go the way that it's planned. And right now, the feel is that this draft is not certain. Outside of Joe Burrow, nothing seems certain. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
Chase Young, but right now, even the Redskins are talking about trading picks. Who
Yeah.
knows? The draft is going to be super fun. I don't know how fun it's going to be on day 3 in the new environment, but I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, most definitely. And my final thoughts are, as podcasters, we go live. Uh, Tony goes live, and there are a bunch of us that do this, and we've always been called fringe media or discounted what we feel. The one thing that I can say, and the reason I go to podcasts like Carolina Cat Chronicles, is because they have the pulse of the team. They actually go back and they look at what's going on with the team. They're close to what's going on with the team. And if you've ever noticed, because we are small market teams, they tend to they do an overview of what they think this team is going to do, and they have no real clue just because of that. So I appreciate all these different podcasts. You will see me hopefully this year. We'll do like an NFC South roundtable kind of podcast where we get to talk about what's going on with our division and that kind of thing, and that's the unity that we have in the podcast community, and that's greatly appreciated.
Amen.
All right, but that's pretty much it for us. We're out of here. I'm Gene, this is Tony, and this is Buck What You Heard. Hey, check us out tomorrow. As a matter of fact, if please go out and follow Tony, Carolina Cat Chronicles. I will put the link up for this and everything here in a little bit. Just let us know what you think. And we are out.